Next we have the purple Luffy deck. I think the cards they've printed are just kind of okay, but we'll go through them really quickly in a bit. The reprints are mostly the OP05 like Straw Hat cards. So you have like Zorojiro, you have the Usohachi, Orobi, Jinbei, you have Chopaemon, which is like okay, and you have Franosuke, and you also have the Honekichi Brook. So we do get I believe one of each Straw Hat. We do get one of each Straw Hat in this deck, and we also get we get two Zoros, and we get two Usops, and we get two Luffys. So that's cool, I guess. And they also reprinted the when you're at sea you fight pirates event, and I think I like the new art for this event a lot as well. So I'm pretty happy that they did make this reprint. But other than that, I think the cards here are not really that staple, like for the overall deck list and the overall reprints. And then we'll talk quickly about the new cards now. So for the new cards, first off, of course, we have the new purple Luffy leader. I think this looks really sick. Looks really good. Like he's just charging up a punch and everything. So I like this type of art as well. But I think personally the 05 Luffy leader does still look a bit better to me. I don't know. I really like the big head leader carve art style. So maybe I'm just biased, but that's me. Anyway, so first up we have the new 3 cost 3k power Usohachi 2k counter. So pretty good card because it's 2k counter with a much more usable effect. If you have 8 or more Dawn, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. I think this is just a direct like side grade to the Usohachi that we currently have, which is 3 cost 4k power Dawn times 1. When attacking, then you rest a character. This is probably an upgrade actually because of the fact that it's on play, so you are able to use it. In the past, I think some purple Luffy decks were running Sheep's Horn, the 2 cost event that was rest a 5 cost character in order to like get past blockers and stuff. So I think there being a 2k counter version of that, which I guess it costs 1 more, and it does have that 8 or more Dawn requirement, but it is 2k counter, right? So you cannot really complain. So it's really strong. I think it's very comparable to 3 cost Izo, the green one, where it's 3 cost 3k power and rest 4 cost character. This rests a 5 cost character, although you do have to have that 8 Dawn requirement. Okay. Next is Onami. So this is a pretty good card as well. It's a 4 cost 2k blocker, 1k counter, and the effect is it's a blocker, and on play if you have 8 or more Dawn on your board, then you can trash 1 card from your hand and then draw 2 cards. So it's kind of like Queen but backwards, because you trash first and then you draw 2. So it will let you filter your hand, although it won't let you filter like new cards. So like you can't filter the cards that you drew off of the effect. But I think it's really powerful because it is a +1. It is also a blocker. 4 cost 2k is of course not the best stat line, but it does have counter, so you can't really complain about that either. I think of course it is a 4 cost purple card, so you may see some RP loss decide to use this, but I feel like it's not very good in the mirror, so it probably may not actually see play in that deck. Okay, next we have Sangoro. He is a 5 cost 6k 1k counter, and his effect is when attacking once per turn, if you have 8 or more Dawn, draw 1 card. So pretty good to draw 1 card when attacking. Of course, it is limited to having 8 or more Dawn, so that is one of the big downsides. So you probably won't expect like Apilo or something to use this deck, to use this card. But in purple Luffy, I think this is really good. If you're going second, for example, on your 4 Dawn turn, you can play this down by using your leader effect, and the next turn you use your leader effect again to go to 8 Dawn, and you attack, you can draw 1 card already, and this is only your like 3rd turn. It's supposed to be it's quote unquote your 6th Dawn turn, but by using your purple Luffy effect twice, you are able to use this on turn 3, so that's really good. And if it sticks, then of course you can use it every turn. So this is also similar to I think Guild Tesoro from the film starter deck, STO5, that we saw like GP Dofi film builds using in the past. But again, this doesn't have like a Dawn minus cost, it just has a requirement that you stay above 8 Dawn, which I think is pretty good as well. Okay, next we have Zorojiro card, 4 cost 6k power. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and review up to 1 purple Straw Hat Crew type card and put it into your hand. Then place the rest of the cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So I think this could have been a very strong card if it didn't hit only purple Straw Hats. Like the fact that it only hits purple Straw Hats makes it a lot weaker, which is quite disappointing. I was really hoping that it hit red Straw Hat Crew type characters as well. red Straw Hat Crew type cards as well, because that would have made it really really good in like red purple Luffy or red purple, even red purple Kid would have been pretty good with this. But it does still have some pretty decent targets. Of course, the Sorojuro, it hits it doesn't have a cost restriction, so it hits 10 cost SEC Luffy as well. It hits of course any of the cards in this starter deck, it hits as well. So those are all pretty good hits. But I kind of wish it just like didn't have that color restriction. Okay. And the last card from this starter deck is 7 cost Luffy. On play, Dawn -1, play up to 1 purple Straw Hat Crew type character card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. Again, it is color locked, so it's not going to be very good in like a red purple deck or like any other like multicolor deck, because I mean there are straw hats in every color, so you're not going to be able to play like the 5 cost green Luffy or like green 4 cost vanilla Zoro, or you're not going to be able to play, I guess, what else are you not going to be able to play, like a rush Luffy or a rush Zoro or anything like that. But it does hit a few pretty good characters. Of course, the characters in this starter deck are pretty good. Other than that, if you have 2 or more Dawn less than your opponent, you can also call the OP07 Stealth Black Sanji, which is pretty good. Other than that, so far it doesn't feel like there's that many great targets. I think of course Sangoro and Zorojuro are probably the best targets for this. And flooding board is always good. It's always something that purple kind of needed a little bit more of. But I think this is just a bit lacking when it comes to power level, especially compared to some of the other cards that they've printed. So all in all, I think probably like a B tier deck. I think Purple Luffy will like some of these new cards, especially this 7 cost Luffy and the Zorojuro. But other than that, I don't love it. Oh, I realized I forgot to rate the Doflamingo deck, but that deck is S tier. Like 100% is one of the best starter decks they've printed. All of the new cards are very very good. They fit the game plan very very well. I think it's playable out of the box as well. So very 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 good starter deck. Alright, next we have the Smoker starter deck. So some of the reprints, we have the 2k counter Tsuru, which is pretty good. We have Kobe, we have 2 cost blocker Roshinante, we have brand new, which is really good as well because it's the Searcher, and then we have some other stuff like 2k counter Virgo, we have 3 and 4 cost Vanilla, we have Helmepo. So it's just okay. But let's talk about the new cards that they've printed. Oh, they've also printed Ice Age, which is pretty nice. Okay, some of the new cards they've printed. So I think first off, we have of course the leader card. The leader card looks really good as well. I think just very... They're all of the leader cards kind of have the same like one arm up like punching pose. So that's pretty good still. This is pretty on character for Smoker. Notably, this pre-time skip Smoker too. So maybe they'll give us a post-time skip Smoker eventually. Alright, first up we have the new Smoker character. So it's a 6/8. I think it has no counter, but you can see there's a slight I guess bug in the proxy they've made here. So it's no counter, and on play you may trash 1 black navy type card from your hand, and then up to 2 of your opponent's cost 4 or less characters cannot attack during your opponent's next turn. So I don't love it. It's a stun type character, which is kind of like the 6/8 Boa. But this one has a cost restriction, and it also requires a discard, which is pretty weak. Of course, the one good thing is that as a black card, it synergizes with cost reduction. So if you were like to Ice Age something, then you can hit up to 9 costs plus 4 costs. Or if you had like 10 cost Cruzan on board, you could hit 2 9 costs. But I don't think it's that strong. I don't think this is technically what like black wants or needs. It's just mid to me. Okay, next we have Sengoku. So on play you may trash 2 black navy type cards from your hand, and if your leader has the navy type, draw 3 cards. This is okay. It allows you to cycle. Technically it allows you to draw 1, which is overall net neutral because you have to of course play this down. It's a 1 cost, so it's playable off of Moria. I think the biggest issue is that the 2 cards you trash from your hand must be both black and navy type. So it's like, it's a very conditional cycle, which I think is not very good. Yeah, like for example, if you're going to play this in like promo Sakazuki or any other like black and multicolored deck, you're not able to trash just any card. You have to trash navy, and they have to be black cards as well. So like Promo Saka can't trash like Searcher Tashigi or like Gravity Blade or anything like that. You have to trash black cards, which is I don't know. I feel like it's really weak. Like it's really mid of a card, and the fact that you have to trash before you draw is very big as well. Okay, next we have Tashigi. So Tashigi is a leader lock card. On play, if your leader is Smoker, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost for this turn. And then after that, activate main once per turn. If this is the turn the character was played, place up to one of your opponent's cost 0 characters into its owner's trash. So it has the weird Kaido, the new 9 cost Kaido-esque effect where it has activate main once per turn if this is the turn this character was played effect. Other than that, I think the reason they've probably done this is so that you can use its on play, and then after that you can use Smoker's leader effect to get 1k power for Smoker leader, or to reduce the cost a little bit further. So on your 5 Dawn turn you can play this and KO a 4 cost, or on your 6 Dawn turn you can play this and KO a 5 cost, which is pretty decent, I think. It is leader locked, of course, so that is pretty weak. Like for any other leader is pretty weak, but in Smoker this is a really good card. It's KO on curve is very strong. It doesn't have a cost as well, so that is a very nice plus. You know, that there's no cost to it, and of course it is a leader lock card, which I guess that makes up for why it kind of has that strength. But overall, I think this is probably the only good card they've printed for the deck. It's really strong in Smoker itself, so I appreciate that, and I think the art is pretty good as well. Okay, next we have Hina. So Hina is a 4 cost 6k SR as well. Non-dice 1, during your opponent's turn, this character has 4 costs, so that's pretty good. So it becomes an 8 cost character, which is really hard to remove on curve. Like for example, on your opponent's 6 Dawn turn, they're not gonna really have the resources to clear an 8 cost character. Other than that is activate in once per turn, you may place 1 card from your trash at the bottom of your deck, and then give your leader after one of your characters up to 1 rested Dawn. So I think this is pretty good, because this works really well with the Smoker leader effect, which is to, of course, non-dice 1, reduce cost, and also if your opponent has a 0 cost character, then you can get an extra 1k. Other than that, the other really good synergy is with the Moria leader. So for example, if you were to play a 8 cost Moria, you could play 8 cost Moria and then Hina as well as a 2 cost character, and then Hina could attach 1 rested Dawn to Moria leader, and Moria leader can swing and play a 4 cost character from hand. So that's pretty good, because previously you wouldn't be able to do that. But I don't know if the Moria leader has the kind of space to warrant a card like this in the deck, but I think we'll see if it does end up to be what it takes to bring Moria back into the meta, because Moria has been struggling recently, because Lucci is just so much better in the current meta. And last but not least, we have Garp, who is a 3/4 blocker, and then activate main once per turn. Place 1 card from your trash at the bottom of your deck and give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost for the turn. So this is pretty decent. It is kind of like the new Apu blocker, the 4/5 OP08 Scratchman Apu blocker. The sad thing is that this has a cost to it, so it is significantly weaker than that Apu blocker. Of course, this is navy and searchable off of brand new, but other than that, it has a cost which is like significantly weaker than that Apu blocker. I don't know if it will be good enough to see any play. And the other thing is that with cards like this Hina and this Garp, where they have to return cards from the trash to bottom of deck, Smoker is not a leader where you fill the trash very quickly, so I don't really see this being that strong in Smoker leader. But yeah, I think we'll have to see moving forward what kind of other support there is for mono black that is not like Moria focused. Because yeah, cards like this, it's not the best. just to be frank, like it's just okay. Yeah. So all in all, I think the starter deck, Tashigi is really good, but only for Smoker leader, and Hina is pretty good, but I think only for Moria leader. So all in all, I think the deck gets like a C, because the rest of the cards are pretty mid. The Smoker is really bad, the Garp is just okay, the Sengoku is pretty bad. So that's my current rating for this deck. Last but not least, we have the Katakuri starter deck. So some of the reprints here are pretty decent. You have Daifuku, which is from the original 7 STO7, so pretty nice to have that as a reprint. They've also reprinted Thunderbolt and Ikoku. Other than that, the rest of the comments are pretty okay. Just Opera, Smoothie is okay, but doesn't really see that much play. Pudding Searcher having a reprint is also pretty nice. And we also have Streisand, which is probably the worst Big Mom 2K counter at this point. But yeah, it's just a pretty okay set of reprints. I think Pudding Searcher is just nice to have. It's nice that they've included like a Searcher-esque card in all of the reprint starters. So again, 5 new cards. Let's quickly go through them and talk about how good they are. First up, we have the Katakuri leader. I think he's pretty good. I like the art. I like him holding the spear and everything. But I think the O3 one looks better to me. I quite like the O3 style of art. Of course, it's better than the base rare leader, right? But I think the O3 leader art is probably still better. I mean, you can't complain. I mean, this is $5 and the OP03 leader is like 80, but you know, still, it's a really nice art upgrade for any like base rare players. Okay, next we have the 5 cost blocker Katakuri. 5 cost 6k, 1k counter as well, which is good. And then blocker, and activate when once per turn, you may turn the top card of your life cards face up and give up to one of your leaders or characters 1 rested Dawn. So I think this is actually really good. So of course, it's really bad if you're playing like Blue Yellow Ace or Black Yellow Luffy. But for example, in like Katakuri itself, it's really good because first things first, you get to attach 1 rested Dawn to your leader, so you can play this on curve and then swing 7k at your opponent. And because you flip your top card of your life face up, you don't have to like look at your own life anymore. So you can just look at your opponent's life. If it is a trigger that you kind of want to save, you also have the option to still move your top life to the bottom, which is good. Other than that, I think it's just a pretty good card in general. So for example, if you flip your top life and it's like 0 cost event, you can use your leader effect to shift it to the bottom. It's also pretty fair to the opponent because now your opponent gets to see that, oh, okay, you have this trigger. So that's kind of nice to play against as well. So it's quite a fair card in my opinion. It's strong, but it's not that unfair. So I think it's quite a good card. It's probably like a A tier card because it's strong but fair. If it was strong but unfair, like if it was look at your own card and then after that put it back face down, then it would be pretty unfair. Then I think it would be like S tier. But for this card itself, it's probably like just a very good like A tier card. Okay, next is Cracker. 4 cost 5k power. Once per turn, when this character will be KO'd by an effect, you may instead trash the top card of your life. So 2 things. First of all, it's only KO, so bottom deck, bounce to hand, etc, etc, you aren't able to use it. Another thing is it is only a 4 cost 5k, so your opponent, even if they KO it like and it sticks, you have to trash the top card of your life, which is not that great. Like, you know, if you're not NL, like, it's not a very strong effect. And like, yeah, I don't think it's that great of a card. Yeah, it's just pretty mid. The trigger is also trash 1 card to play the card. Like, maybe if the trigger was just play this card for free, then you could consider this being a pretty decent card, but like, I think it's a bit too weak. Okay, next is Brule, which is another 2k counter for the Big Mom Pirates. So that makes it, I think, like 4 Big Mom Pirates type 2ks now. You have Streisand Brule, Flampe, and Amande now. So 3 cost 3k 2k counter, and then trigger is look at the top card of your opponent's life and put it back on the top or the bottom, and then after that add this card to your hand. So this is pretty good because it's basically just like a free effect. I don't think it's better than Flampe as a 2k counter, but it's still pretty decent. Like if you're playing like additional 2k counters, like from my knowledge, Katakuri decks are playing Satori, Flampe, and Page as their 2k counters, like the 12 2ks that they're running, as well as the 0 cost event maybe. So I don't know if there's any way this replaces any of those. It could replace Flampe if like the Katakuris are playing like a Nami focus build, like a 08 like egghead Nami build, where you need more trigger count in order to KO with the Nami effect. But otherwise, I still think Flampe is probably a little bit better. especially if you're playing cards like Amaru, where Flambe helps you to turn the Amaru on, then Flambe is better. But if you're not playing Amaru, I guess Brule could be a decent like replacement because it still has that trigger. It's just free information, right? Next, we have another Pudding 3 cost 2k power instead. On play, you may add the top card of your life to your hand and then set up to one of your 3 cost or less Big Mom Pirates type characters active. So it's kind of like weak. Like it restands like Perospero, some of the homies, but I don't think you need to restand your homies. And it's at the cost of adding the top card of your life to your hand. Like it's a really weak card. And then the trigger is just rest up to one of your opponent's 3 costs or lower. So it's not even 4 costs, which is like a probably much more common like cost line. So it's, yeah, I feel like it's a really weak card. The art is really nice though, but yeah, the card itself is really weak. Okay, and then lastly we have the 6 cost 7k Big Mom, Charlotte Lin Lin. On play, you may trash 1 card from your hand and your opponent chooses either to discard 2 cards from your hand, from their hand, or to trash 1 card from the top of their life. So I think that's really good. For one, it is basically you're trading 1 hand card for 2 of your opponent's hand cards, or you're trading 1 hand card for 1 of your opponent's life cards, which is, I think, quite fair. Katakuri has a lot of bricks as well, and especially if you're playing things like the 5 cost Nami now, being lower on hand cards is actually not that. It's actually something that you want. I don't know if there's enough space to play this on top of the 7 Mom. Of course, the benefit of this is that it comes out 1 turn earlier, or if you're playing this on the 7 Dawn turn, you can play this plus swing 7k at your opponent, which is all very good. And discarding 2 cards can be quite a significant deficit, which is really good as well. Discard 2 cards is like 7k swing, right? It's essentially as good as a 7k swing, so that's really good as well. So yeah, I think it's probably the best SR that we've seen compared to everything else, because this is the most generic one. Like it works in any leader, any yellow leader can run this. Even Kalgara could run this, which is really good as well, I think, for Kalgara, because they do have a lot of bricks and they do have a lot of hand generally. And they've been kind of lacking a 7 Dawn, like a 6 Dawn play to match like a 7 Dawn Kalgara plus 6/6 kind of play. So I think it's pretty good. I think it could definitely be very useful as a 6 cost character for any yellow deck. I think the Katakuri is also similarly good because again it's also like for example, this could be very good in Kalgara because you can play this on 5 along with the 5 cost Wiper, for example. So this could also be pretty strong there. I mean, other than the obvious anti-synergy with decks like Black Yellow Luffy and Blue Yellow Ace, I think this is a pretty decent card. So all in all, I would give this starter deck an A. I think it's pretty good. The cards in it are very generic and they're all reasonably strong, except for the Pudding and the Cracker. I think those two are really weak. But Brule is decent. It's a better 2k than Flambe for decks that don't want to take their own life. It's searchable, and it's also better than Stroizen and Amande, so that does make it pretty good. But I kind of wish they printed like a bit of a stronger card. I feel like anti-KO is good, but it shouldn't have been a 4/5 character. Like sticking a 4/5 is nice, but it's not that good. Like especially because the cost is to trash a life. It's usually not worth it to trash a life to protect a 4/5. Because like even if it does stick 1 turn, the next turn you swing 5k and then after that it's gone. Like your opponent swings into it, then like it's not like you're gonna trash more than 1 life for it, right? So yeah, I think the Cracker is really weak. I think it should have been like, maybe if it was like a 6/7. Then it would have been worth it. Like if this was a 6/7 character that had this once per turn effect, I think it would have been fine. But as a 4/5, it's a bit too weak. Alright, that was all of the starter decks for that are coming out this weekend, ST15 220. That was actually a very long review. That took a lot of time. Holy shit. So this will probably be 2 parts again. Like we'll just split it like 15 to 17 and then 18 to 20. If I were to rank all of the starter decks now, I think we're probably going to see Doflamingo be the best. Just in terms of like the new cards they've printed, right? Doflamingo is probably the best, followed by Newgate and then Katakuri. And then I think after that, it's probably like Luffy, then Uta, then Smoker. I don't know. Like, okay, the reason Smoker is really bad is that I think the only good card is Hina. And Tashigi is very good, but only in Smoker, and I don't think Smoker is good. So that's why Smoker I rate the lowest. I think Uta is bad, but the Katakuri is very good for Uta, and the Shanks is good in general. And the reprints are good because they used to be exclusive to promos. So I think it has the best reprints, which is why I think the Uta is slightly better than the Smoker deck. And then I think Katakuri is just fourth because it is good, but it's not as good as Luffy or Newgate or Purple Luffy. Purple Luffy is, I think the main good thing is that this Onami is really strong. And the Sangoro is pretty good. So I think we can maybe see like some more of Purple Luffy moving forward. But again, the reason it's not strong enough is always just going to be it's not fast enough. Like you can't, like if you're playing against a black deck and they just KO your shit, then it doesn't really matter, you know. Or you play against RP Law and they bottom deck your shit, like it's not gonna matter. So that's always going to be the issue with the current meta, where Lucci and RP Law are the best decks, like decks that just remove things. And sometimes, like for Lucci, they can remove multiple things. Like it's always going to be a problem where your deck doesn't have any like anti-KO, or your deck doesn't have cards that are sticky. So I do hope the ban list does affect things, but from my current testing as well, I still think although Doflamingo is the best starter deck they've printed, it's still not good enough, because when it comes to fighting Lucci, it's still a very bad matchup. When it comes to fighting RP Law, you do have to high roll like multiple Jinbeis. I think the Newgate deck probably has the most potential because the Atmos is very very good. The Ace is a very very good, because Ace is the kind of card that you need to see in the current meta, where it doesn't, like, it's harder to remove. And I think the 7-cost Newgate is a very very big buff for decks like Red Blue Mako and Red Ace. So we will see how that does end up going moving forward. Of course, the meta is going to change after this week, hopefully a little bit. I'm very excited to see this Katakuri deck. Hopefully it does a little bit better as well with that new 6-cost Mum and the 5-cost Katakuri, and everything else will be, of course, remains to be seen in the next Serial Ace flagships. My personal flagships are going to be after these starter deck releases, so I'm going to have to be worried about all of these new cards as well as their effects. But other than that, OP08 will still probably maintain as RP Law being the top dog at the moment. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching. This was a long ass review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys again next time. Peace out, friendos and randos.